Good evening, everybody. How are we doing tonight? Good. Can you hear me okay? How's this? Sounds better to my ears too. All right. Hello and welcome to Canterbury Town Meeting on this awesome Friday the 13th. How's everybody? Good? Everybody have a good week? Awesome. All right. So I am Jessica Treadway, your new town moderator, stepping into the ever large shoes of Jim Miller. So and I'm a pharmacist by profession, and I read a joke this morning that I decided that I had to share since I read it the day of town meeting, and I felt that I should share with everybody. So, what kind of medical condition causes wrinkled clothing? What kind of medical condition causes wrinkled clothing? An iron deficiency. Okay. So there's my one allowed dad joke for the meeting, and now we can go down to the 6. Okay, so I would like to ask any veterans, armed forces, or anybody active in the military or National Guard to please stand if you can at this time. And I'm sorry, if you could remain standing, and I'll have everybody join them, and then I'm going to have the Archer children representing the Scouts organization to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join us in saying Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Phelan, Charlotte, and Wade Archer. Okay, and now I would like to call everybody's attention to the recent passing of a previous town moderator, Ted LeClaire. Ted served many roles within our community. Several of you may remember him as the former town postmaster general. He was also a constant presence within and strong supporter of the Elkins Public Library. So I just wanted to take a moment to recognize him. And now if I could just ask everybody for a moment of silence for all of those that we've lost over the last year, please. Okay, great, thank you. And as we move into the business portion of the meeting, some housekeeping to go over. Most of you I saw go through the table, just want to make sure everybody has their red and green cards and you've checked in to get those for when it's time to vote. Town reports, there are extra copies at the back table if you need those to follow along as we read through warrant articles. This year's town report is dedicated to Ken and Eileen Stern for their conservation efforts. Ken is also recognized for many years of public service as planning board and conservative committee member, including 8 years as chair and co-chair of the Conservation Committee. So thank you, Ken and Eileen, for your vision, generosity, and service. And then the basic fire exits, make sure everybody notes where they are and feel free to use them should the need arise. And in the back, would like to introduce the informational displays we have. We have the window dressers, the Canterbury Farmers Market, Friends of Elkins Public Library, and then some Girl Scout cookies for sale if you choose to partake. And then I will move into recognizing and thanking Tuesday's election team. Was my first election as town moderator. I felt that it went pretty smoothly and I was very grateful for everybody there to help and support me survive my first one. So Assistant Town Moderator Katie Archer, if everybody could clap for her, please. And then Sam Papps, our town clerk, he was instrumental with his wealth of knowledge to help me through what I didn't know. Our select board and town police officers, the highway department crew for setting up Tuesday night and tonight. Ballot clerks and counters, thank you for all of your hard work. And then the supervisors of the checklist, Brenda Murray, Denise Soika, and Pam Smarling. And I specifically want to recognize and thank Brenda Murray for serving as a supervisor of the checklist for 36 years. She chose not to run again this year, so thank you. And then also thanks to Jim Miller for his knowledge and support, helping me through learning what I needed to know. And last but not least, thanks to everybody that came out Tuesday to vote. And then tonight's platform, I will introduce the folks to my left. We have Ken Folsom. I know. There's my one. I needed to get out of the way early, so there's my one. Beth Blair, Calvin Todd, and Scott Doherty on our select. To my right, we have Sam Papps. And then, without objection, I would like to grant the right of voice without vote for our non-residents, Ken Folsom, Justin Crotty, John O'Connor, and Michael Gamache, in the event they need to answer any questions related to any warrant articles. Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, I will grant that. Thank you. And then, final recognition for the evening, Edgar Rivera for recording our meeting for us, so we have it as reference. All right, and then rules for speaking. I ask that everybody be respectful and civil at all times during this meeting. It's important to understand that while we are allowed to disagree, we are not allowed to be disrespectful or disagreeable. So please remember that. If you do come up to speak in regards to any of the warrant articles, please address all comments to me as the moderator. Before speaking, raise your hand and be called on by me before you start to speak, please. You will come to the mic in the center of the room. You may form a line if somebody is already speaking, and politely wait your turn, please. If you are not able to stand and come to the mic, if you raise your hand, I will recognize you and we'll get the microphone brought to you. And I, as moderator, will recognize those who have not yet spoken on an issue before anyone who has previously spoken. Canterbury residents only may speak unless granted a separate voice without vote by the voting public. And please, last thing, if you do come up to leave a comment, make sure you are making your own comment and not just repeating anything that has been said before. If you wish to call the question for the warrant articles, you must raise your hand and be called upon. Calling the question before people have had an opportunity to present the essentials of the warrant article, or before people have had at least some opportunity to ask questions or speak to the issue, is in direct opposition of the entire purpose of having our town meeting, which is for the townspeople to make informed decisions on behalf of the entire community. Calling the question motions must be seconded and passed by a 2/3 vote. Rules for motions. Going to follow a simplified rule of order. Motions must be moved and seconded. Please, for all comments and all motions, state your name and where you live clearly so that Sam can document it for the minutes. And the mover will have the first right to speak after the presenter of each warrant article has introduced it. Any and all amendments made must be given in writing to the town clerk and must be legible, please, before we vote on them. There will be one motion and amendment recognized at a time. Any amendments involving money must include the dollar amount, please. And please be aware that we are bound by certain restrictions from state laws and Department of Revenue administration when it comes to altering expenditure amounts or purposes of the warrant articles. All right, I believe that's all I have. And, oh, one more thing. If you believe that I, as moderator, have erred on the terms of procedure, you may request a point of order and then call it to a vote. A majority vote is required to override the moderator. Any questions or concerns up to this point? Seeing none, then I would like to quickly share the results from Tuesday's voting before we move into tonight's warrant article. So for the articles on the ballot from Tuesday, I'm not going to read through the full article. I'll just read the article and the number. It is in your booklet if you choose to look it up and read it. So for cemetery trustee, John Gogol received 291 votes, John Weberski 56. For the planning board, Logan Snyder 331, Janice Delacroce got 20 votes. Supervisor of the checklist, Suzanne Williams, winning at 346. Library trustee, Debbie Snow, 264. Jennifer Weberski, 128. Florence Woods, 199. For selectmen, Scott Doherty, 343. Trustee of the trust funds, Gregory Heath, 339. Article 2 passed by a vote of 339 to 41. Article 3 passed with a vote of 333 to 45. Article 4 passed with a vote of 322 to 63. Article 5 passed with a vote of 335 to 49. And Article 6 passed with a vote of 314 to 61. And then school board election, or the school ballot, Shaker Regional School District ballot, school board, Belmont representatives are Mark Eckberg receiving 827 votes and Michael Schofield receiving 264 votes. Canterbury resident for the school board, Alice Todd, receiving 966 votes. Articles, Article 2, yes votes 939, no votes 410. Article 3 passed, yes 917, no 426. Article 4, yes 971, no 374. Article 5 passed 948 to 395. And Article 6 passed 995 to 348. And one last thank you to everybody that ran for office both in town and the school district. All right. So now we're ready to move on to the warrant articles. So I'll start in your booklets on page 11, Article 7. Is to see if the town will vote to establish a police public safety details revolving fund pursuant to RSA 31:95-H for the purpose of providing public safety services by police department employees outside of the ordinary detail of such persons. All revenues received for police public safety details will be deposited into the fund, and the money in the fund shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year and shall not be considered part of the town's general fund balance. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be added to the police public safety details revolving fund to come from the unassigned fund balance and not from taxation. The town treasurer shall have custody of all monies in the fund and shall pay out the same only upon order of the governing body, and no further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. Such funds may be expended only for the purpose for which the fund was created. Majority vote is required, recommended by the selectmen, no tax impact. And Scott will be speaking to this article for us. Oh, I'm sorry, oops. I need a motion.
Move acceptance, move approval.
And a second?
Hello?
Yeah.
All right, maybe that's better. All right, so, this is a revolving fund for the police department. It's not a new way to account for money. Several towns in our area have been doing this for many years, including Bosquen, Guilford, Northfield, and Epsom, just to name a few. The funds, you'll see, the next warrant article will be the fire department. The funds were both set up by our town auditors The warrant articles were reviewed by the town attorney and the New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration, or DRA. The money received from off-duty details will be placed in a separate account from our general fund, and we'll use this money to pay the officers' wages for the detail. And then as we're paid, the money will go into that separate account. Any leftover funds will be used for equipment having to do with details, such as reflective vests, equipment for the cruisers, that it can be used to help pay for a new cruiser. There are several layers of authorization to expend funds, including the department head, the town administrator, the accounting clerk, and the board of selectmen finance. So we will account for these funds and expenditures in the town report annually, so everyone can see where the money is spent.
All right, at this time, anybody that has any questions or comments may come up to the mic. Again, please state your name and where you live, and then proceed with your questions. I think you have to turn it on. The switch is on the top there. Thank you.
Sue Russell, Old Tilton Road. I just want to know, I'm kind of ignorant on this one, the next one. Can you just give an example of what it means?
If I understand your, you mean examples of off-duty details? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So commonly, actually, I think everybody was aware when Comcast ran the fiber optic up 132, there was always a police car there. So those police cars are not paid for by Canterbury. They're paid for by Comcast or by the company that's doing the construction. So we charge them the officer's salary at $65 an hour, another charge for a cruiser, and an administrative overhead fee as well. So as that money comes in, obviously the officer is going to be paid out of that fund, and what's left over will accumulate in the fund and then be used to fund equipment purchases.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
Teresa Rasha, Center Road. This is from private entities that require our services, our police services.
I think, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, yes, I think would be the answer, right? Construction companies, things like that.
Okay, not like ICE or Border Patrol or anybody like that. Is there any money in our budget for that?
That's kind of putting the cart before the horse. We haven't got to the budget yet.
Okay, I'll ask it then. I'm just concerned that this money might be used for stuff like that. Okay, perfect, thank you.
Anything further? Seeing nothing further, I'll call the question. All those in favor, raise your green cards, please. Thank you. All opposed, raise your red cards. Okay. Yes has it. Motion passes. Article passes. On to Article 8. To see if the town will vote to establish a fire and rescue public safety details revolving fund pursuant to RSA 3195H for the purpose of providing public safety services by fire and rescue department employees outside of the ordinary detail of such persons. All revenues received for fire and rescue public safety details will be deposited into the fund, and the money in the fund shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year and shall not be considered part of the town's general fund balance. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be added to the fire and rescue public safety details revolving fund to come from the unassigned fund balance and not from taxation. The town treasurer shall have custody of all monies in the fund and shall pay out the same only upon order of the governing body, and no further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. Such funds may be expended only for the purposes for which the fund was created. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen, no tax impact. Scott, you've got this one?
Yep. So everything I just said,
Oh, I'm
except-
sorry, did it again. Need a motion from the floor. And a second? Okay.
All right, so everything that I just said about the police, just fill in the fire department. It is obviously gonna be a smaller amount of money. For the most part, the fire department details consist of track coverage, when they have the big races. So a couple times a year. So, and that's really it. So, that's all I got.
Okay. Next opportunity for any questions or comments from the floor. All right, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise your green cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your red cards. Okay, motion passes, article passes. On to Article 9. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,602,470 for general municipal operations. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed separately. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen. Estimated tax impact, cost per $1,000, $5.03. Cost for $400,000 home, $2,010.80. I'd like a motion, please.
So moved.
Okay, second? Can I get your name, please? Okay, perfect. Okay, Scott, you're up again.
All right, this one's gonna take a little longer. So kind of as our tradition has been, I'm gonna give you kind of a state of the town report. And I'm gonna begin tonight with a quick update on our present financial picture. And then I'll give you a report on the town's 2025 budget. And then we'll take a look at the 2026 budget. Then we'll take a brief look at the future and we'll take questions at the end of the presentation. So I'm happy to tell you that overall, the town's finances are strong. For the second year in a row, the Board of Selectmen were able to use $500,000 of our unreserved fund balance to help with taxes this past year. The $500,000 brought the 2025 tax rate down from $5.22 per thousand to $4 per thousand. This savings was equal to $488 on a $400,000 home. However, it's unlikely that we'll be able to continue assistance at this level. We do have a healthy capital reserve savings of just over $1.1 billion. And this year, we began investing in short-term certificates of deposit CDs. So with careful timing and planning, we've been able to earn several $1,000s extra in revenue this year. So that helps our bottom line. Our focus remains on efficiently delivering essential services to the town while saving for the future and keeping our taxes in check. This has required difficult decisions concerning what the town provides. So with respect to last year's budget, while it looks like we overspent our budget, due to offsets such as grants and the sale of property, we actually underspent our 2025 budget by $436,955. For the most part, this is good news, but a big factor in underspending our budget were vacant positions in police, highway, and transfer stations. We did also have several large unexpected bills for equipment and vehicle repairs. We're not overburdened by debt. The Gold Star bond retired in 2025. The Laurel Road Bridge Command Car Police Cruiser bond retires this year. The 10-year bond for the new fire engine will begin payment this year. By the end of 2026, we'll be down to only one bond payment. Our long-term debt payments were an exceptionally low 2.4% of the total operating expense last year. Regarding last year's approved warrant articles, all warrant articles approved at last year's town meeting have been successfully completed or are nearing completion. Among last year's warrant articles was renovation of the garage at the Sam Lake House. Work is nearing completion, and town records will then be moved to their new home. The warrant article for insulation of the town library was also completed. The transfer station study was completed by Aries Engineering. A successful home hazardous waste day was held, and our new voting machine is in service. An update on the new fire engine. So we have secured a bond interest rate of 2.57%, and we were able to get a $53,000 premium, which reduced our debt to $437,000. This bond will be paid back in 10 years. The engine has an expected delivery date of May 2026. And right now, typical lead times for orders of new fire apparatus are at least 4 years. You'll notice in the capital reserves warrant article this year that we plan to begin saving for our next fire engine. We plan to ask voters to approve the next engine in approximately 10 years. Repairs were completed summer of 2025 to selected areas of our town's dirt roads, paid for by a $257,956 American Rescue Plan Act ARPA grant. On to the present 2026 budget. The proposed 2026 operating budget is up just 3.4% from last year, down from an increase of over 7% at the start of budget discussions. We thank the volunteer members of the Budget Advisory Committee for their time and effort. The underspending of our 2025 budget and the small increase in our 2026 budget is directly due to the efforts of our town administrator, department heads, town employees, and volunteers. The select board wishes to thank them all for their careful spending of town funds. As we prepare the 2026 budget, we continue to deal with the effects of inflation and wage growth. This difficulty with employee recruitment and retention is certainly not unique to Canterbury. We had multiple employees resign in 2025. During the budget process, we discussed the retention of our current employees, as well as recruiting high-quality new employees. On to wages. Eligible town employees were given 3.5% salary raises. And just as a reference, the consumer price index rose by approximately 3% last year. The only exception to this was in the police department. The larger raises given in the police department were to keep us competitive with other towns. We have had a full-time officer position vacant for over 1 year with no applicants. The raises will help us with both recruitment and retention of our officers. To help pay for these raises, we eliminated a $70,000 cruiser from the police budget. In a few weeks, our police chief will be meeting with the select board and town administrator to discuss a long-term plan for wages and benefits for our police officers. Our town's cost for healthcare insurance rose again this year. For now, we're fortunate to have several employees who do not take town health insurance. Town's costs for workers' compensation and liability insurance have both increased as well. Land use administrator. I'm not sure if she's here, but a huge thank you to Jan Stout for filling in and acting as a temporary land use administrator while we continue to search for a new replacement. Michelle Hammond was hired and has done a great job in this very challenging role. I also wanted to point out that you'll see differences in several wage lines, and these were due to the unfilled positions. As I've mentioned, we've had a full-time police officer resign in February of 2025. We are still advertising for a full-time replacement, as well as a full-time employee at the highway department and a part-time position at the transfer station. Turning to our ambulance service, Pennacook Rescue. I'm happy to announce that our cost for this essential service only rose by 1% for 2026. We will continue to work with our partners at Pennacook Rescue on the best way to deliver emergency medical care to our residents and visitors. So ending with the future, Canterbury remains a great place to live. Our proximity to Concord and easy access via I-93, 106, and 132 make us an attractive target for development. Development growth will certainly impact our future budgets. Our planning board, zoning board of adjustment, historic district commission, and conservation commission will continue to play a significant role in shaping our town's future. In 2026, we will begin looking at the site of the transfer station and former town dump. We now have the Aries engineering report, and our goal is to upgrade the current site and equipment in the most cost-effective and practical way. Monitoring of groundwater is ongoing, and we have 5 years left on our contract with Wheelabrator at exit 17 for the burning of trash. The select board in 2026 will also be looking at scheduling a home hazardous waste day for 2027. We continue to fund through our capital reserve accounts money toward a potential, though not imminent, landfill closure. I'd like to end this report by thanking our town employees and volunteers for their service. We're fortunate in Canterbury to have very dedicated employees, both full and part-time, and we are equally fortunate to have dedicated volunteers willing to give their time and expertise to help make Canterbury a better place. This town could not run as efficiently as it does without them. And as we just saw, we have residents who have literally been volunteering for decades. There is always a critical need for volunteers on our land use boards, our fire department, so I would ask all of you to please consider volunteering in some way. That is the end of this year's report. We'll now take any questions you have.
Thank you, Scott. Any questions or comments from the floor?
It's so good to be on this side of the mic here.
Jimmy, you can pick that mic up all of that. Just a little bit.
Well, that'll help. Oh, I see. Good idea. I'll start with 3 items from the budget. 2 of them are close together on pages 20 and 21. It's actually referring to the 2025 actuals for line 4210.91, supplies and new equipment for the police department, which jumped from a budget of $7,000 to an expenditure of $75,000. And a similar thing under fire and rescue equipment, 4220.9, which was budgeted $11,000 and was spent at $28,000. Both of those have returned to their original budgets. And so, and there were no offsets of any significance to pay for them in 2025. So unless the numbers are not correct, if I could find out what happened and why we don't anticipate any higher expenditure in 2026 on those 2 items.
Yeah, Jim, on the police department, the supplies and new equipment, that money was for a new cruiser. Late in the year, we saw that we're gonna have a lot of extra money in the police department budget. And instead of trying to budget for a cruiser for '26, the police chief came to us and said, can we buy a cruiser this year? And the money was already raised, so the selectmen said yes. The fire department. That was the grant for, right, there was a grant for hose and equipment for that. That was a state grant.
There's a separate item for fire hose with a grant funding. So.
So there was, the chief got a couple of grants this past year. Some of that was for the equipment for the new fire truck too. So that was where that came from.
Okay.
That was the fire and rescue equipment line. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's just no offset.
Okay.
So maybe it's in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I think that is. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Can I ask one other
Of course.
Thank you so much. Looking at the Elkins Public Library trustees 2026 budget on page 53, if you add up the budget change column, which is almost over to the right, so the difference between the 2025 budget, 2026 budget, down at the bottom of the page, it shows $77,839. But if you add up the numbers in that column, which include two reductions on two lines, you come up with $64,116, which is $13,000 less. So I'm curious about the math there.
I'm thinking that was a mistake on our part. We do these in Excel spreadsheet and probably one of the cells didn't work. So I think that was a mistake on our part.
Okay. Nothing lost in there, in other words.
Wait. We have further information.
We have better information.
So the 77,000 is calculated from the 365,666 for the 2026 budget minus the 287,821 for the 2025 budget, so those last two lines. The budget plus and minus column, the percent change, that I'm actually not sure why those ones wouldn't add to 77,000, but I have a feeling it's because of the workers' comp insurance, FICA taxes, and payroll processing. Those are grayed out in the 2025 budget because those weren't considered part of the library budget last year. They were budgeted for, just not included in the library's part of the budget, whereas this year they are. So
That would do it.
I'd have to do a little bit of math, but I'm pretty sure that's where the difference is coming from.
Okay. Yeah, that would do it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Evan Christensen of Baptist Road. You mentioned that compared to other town employees, police get a higher raise, correct?
Correct.
So and that has been the policy that has been in place before this.
No,
So the higher raise is what you're proposing with this?
correct.
Okay. That was all.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor of passing Article 9, the town budget, please raise your green cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your red cards. Okay, the yeses have it, motion passes. Moving on to Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $139,000 to be deposited in the following capital reserves. 4915.3 highway equipment, $10,000. 4915.4 highway truck, $30,000. 4915.18 rescue truck, $8,000. 4914.19 fire truck, $50,000. 4915.24 landfill closure, $1,000. 4915.27 maintenance and repair of town buildings, $10,000. 4915.30 highway loader, $30,000. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen. Estimated tax impact, cost per thousand, 34 cents. Cost for a $400,000 home, $135.25. Could I get a motion, please? Ray Crawford. And a second, please. Jim Miller. Thank you. All right, stop your reading.
All right, so this, some differences were noted. So as you all know, I think we use our capital reserve funds to pay for big things like fire engines. It helps us to even out and kind of smooth out what would otherwise be big, big raises in our budget. So, differences worth noting, is this year, we're beginning to save for our next fire truck. Chief Gamache, the fire engine we're delivering in May was 800,000.
Yeah.
And that same engine now is gonna cost how much?
Just over 1.1.
Yeah, so, just an astronomical amount of money, so, we're gonna begin saving for that. Landfill closure is $1,000. We've upped the maintenance and repair of town buildings because our buildings are getting older, that just need more in terms of repair. The rescue truck, we have reduced the amount we're saving. As you'll hear in a little bit, we are going away from the little red, for those of us old enough to remember the emergency show, the Roy and Johnny truck. That's gonna be replaced by a pickup truck. To replace the Roy and Johnny truck would be somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000. So, and F-250 is about $300,000 cheaper, so, it represents a big savings to us. So that's why we need to save less for the next repair, so. I think that's all I have on that, certainly we'll take any questions.
Thank you, Scott. Any questions or comments from the board?
Hello, Evan Christensen from Baptist Road. You say fire engine, are you using the terms fire truck and fire engine as synonyms?
No, fire truck, what are you looking at?
I'm looking at Article 10 because you keep saying fire engine. I'm trying to clarify whether or not you're referencing 4914.19 or no.
Yes, that actually should properly say fire engine and fire truck.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess for purposes of tonight, we'll use it interchange.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a separate distinction that you're making.
There is, but.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Just-
But not here.
But not here.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any further comments? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor, please raise your green yes cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your red no cards. Okay, article passes. Thank you. On to Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $18,000 for the purchase of a slide-in water tank for the highway department. Said amount to come from the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen with no tax impact. Calvin, your turn. Oh, sorry, darn it. 2 in a row I did it and then I missed it again. Motion, please, Donna. And a second. Perfect, thank you. All right, I'll be back. Yeah.
Now I'll take the floor. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So as many of you know, last summer, we spent an awful lot of money in grant money to bring the dirt roads up in town. In the dry summer, a lot of the dirt roads didn't stick, didn't hold. That was due in part because we didn't have an adequate water truck. So in an effort to combat that this year, we are trying to raise the sum to get a slide-in water tank. This is a pretty versatile piece of equipment for the town, as it can go in and out, and we can still utilize our trucks at other points in the year without specifically designated one truck solely for water. So we feel it's the best thing to do for the town, that it gives us flexibility and allows us to maintain the roads.
Okay, thank you, Calvin. Any questions or comments from the floor, please? Come up to the mic.
Jan Cody, Baptist Hill Road. We have a very dusty road, so I'm happy to hear about this, but can I hear a little bit more about how it works? How many gallons of water does it hold? Can it do a lot of roads at once and that type of thing?
I'll let our road agent speak to that.
Chief John. Our next calcium in with the water as we're filling it, and that helps draw moisture out of the air and keep that crust on the dirt road hard so that it doesn't break apart for that washing.
Okay, how big is it, John? Can you tell me that?
Roughly 1750 gallons.
Okay, so what people to do in Baptist Hill Road, it's, we have water to ground. Sorry, just making sure there's enough water here for the dust. Okay, I get it. That sounds like a good thing. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
Great.
Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise your yes cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your red cards. Okay, the article passes. On to Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $250,000 for the purchase of a dump truck for the highway department, with $150,000 of said funds to come from the highway truck capital reserve fund and $100,000 of said funds to come from the highway equipment capital reserve fund. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen, no tax impact. Oh, I'm sorry, motion. Can I get a motion, please? And a second? Yes,
All right. So we're looking to replace T1, which is a 2011 International. It's the second oldest truck other than the Sterling, and we have not decided to replace it yet because it's still serviceable. We've had a lot of issues with the International over the past few years, and it was due to be replaced this year anyways.
Any questions or comments from the floor? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor, please raise your yes cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your red cards. Okay, motion carries, article passes. Thank you. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 for the purchase of a truck for the fire department and to replace the Rescue 1 truck with the current command car. Said amount to come from the reserve truck capital reserve fund. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen, no tax impact. Could I get a motion, please? And a second?
All right, so this, I talked about it a few minutes ago, the little red rescue truck that you see running around town for medical calls is old and needs to be replaced. So, our thought is we will get a new pickup truck. The chief's car will then become Rescue 1. It's already outfitted with a cab and will be capable of carrying the equipment. The rescue equipment that's currently on Rescue 1 will be moved to the new engine when that gets here, so I don't think we need to say anything more about it. Any questions? And once again, it does represent a big cost savings for us.
Okay.
Reggie Clucci, New Road. In these older pieces of equipment, are they traded in when you purchase a new piece of equipment?
I believe we're gonna repurpose that, aren't we? That was the last plan I think I heard. Okay, not serviceable then?
No. Well, yeah, but not for us.
Not for us, okay, so,
We're gonna lease it or.
okay, it'll be sold then. Okay, yeah, well,
That's what I would prefer. This way we're not maintaining something that,
Yeah.
something having resources. Okay. Sorry.
What was said?
We didn't want the old piece of equipment to be held in another department or another use, and then we're ended up having to maintain that piece of equipment through another method. And the same thing with when we get, when we're replacing some of these other vehicles, I never hear about what we do with what we're replacing. And honestly, if we're replacing it, then that means it's costing us too much money. Let's just not hold on to it.
yeah, and actually, Reggie, along those lines, we just sold the police cruisers. So, Ken, how much did we get for that?
6,350.
There you go. Yeah, so $6,350 we sold it for. Every little bit helps.
And the dealer had offered us $2,500 on a trade-in. So we sold it to a bidding company, and we got substantially a lot more money.
Any other questions or comments from the floor? All right, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise your yes cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your no cards. Okay, article passes. Thank you very much. On to Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 for the purchase of extrication equipment for the fire department, with $40,000 of said funds to come from the firefighting equipment capital reserve fund and $10,000 of said funds to be raised by taxes. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen. Estimated tax impact, cost per thousand, 2 cents. Cost for $400,000 home, $9.73. May I get a motion, please? Thank you. And a second? Right here. Did you say your name, please? I'm sorry, I'm still learning. Sorry, I'm still learning names, so if you throw your name up and you throw your name out, then I can at least help guide Sam to write it down.
So this is to allow the fire department to purchase battery-operated extrication equipment. The equipment that we currently use is hydraulic tools powered by essentially a gasoline motor. So it usually takes 2 people to get that off the rig. It has to be set up on a level piece of ground. There are hoses that are then run from the engine to the extrication tools. It all takes time. And the advantage of battery-operated equipment is it's instantly ready to use. So, can't think of anything else to say about that. Chief, unless you, I think that covers it. Yeah, we'll gladly answer any questions.
Okay, perfect. Any questions or comments from the floor? Okay, yep, come on up.
Patrice Roush in Canterbury, obviously, Center Road. So this is to extricate people from car crashes, correct?
Mostly, yes.
Mostly.
Yeah.
It's not like getting people out of the second story of a window or anything like that.
No, but it
Yeah.
certainly can be used for forcible entry if needed.
Oh, okay.
So yes.
All right, I assume that most of the extricating that we do is down on the interstate. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Do we get any kind of, compensation, from, thank you, from, the state highway patrol or anything like this?
They do not.
We don't, so when, I mean, I see the cars, heading down to the, down to the highway, so, okay, thank you.
Well,
Reggie Lucci, the old piece of equipment, this passes, the piece of equipment that's being used now, does that get auctioned off or is
it may be better. So Reggie's asking what happens to the old piece of equipment if this passes. Chief, I believe the plan is to keep that and put it on another piece of apparatus in case we need it. So some of the accidents on I-93 especially involve multiple vehicles. So we're good to have the capability to do simultaneous extrication.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any further questions or comments from the floor? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor, please raise your green yes cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your red no cards. Okay. Motion carries. Article passes. Thank you. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $170,000 for the purchase of a Packer truck and to retrofit it with electric hydraulics for the transfer station. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen. Estimated tax impact, cost per thousand, 41 cents. Cost per $400,000 home, $165.41. May I get a motion, please? And a second? In the back of you, what was your name again? Thank you. Okay.
Good evening. I'm going to use my notes because there are a lot of numbers here and I'm just getting new information slipped to me and I want to make sure I get everything correct. So the current Packer truck was bought in 1998 for a whopping sum of $70,000. So it hasn't gone many miles on the road, but it's had to idle the entire time the transfer station is open so that the Packer can be used. However, it does have 32,000 miles on it and 24,000 hours of runtime. So in 2025, we had to put $10,000 of repairs into it, and it still needs more work. The hopper's rusted out again, check engine light is on, and apparently the turbo is making funny noises, and I don't know about trucks, but that can't be good. We have the ability to get a new to us Packer truck. A lot of communities are going to trucks that have arms that lift up the trash, so they're getting rid of their Packer trucks. So we should be able to get a new one for about $150,000. We're interested in spending the additional $20,000 to retrofit the hydraulics so that the truck does not have to idle at the transfer station all day. We can use the electricity to run the hydraulics and compact the trash, then turn on the engine only when we're driving it over the wheel grader. So that should help that new truck last a lot longer, in addition to taking care of any diesel fumes that might be collecting when it's just idle there. If we vote no on this and we keep the old truck, we're probably going to have to spend at least $20,000 to repair it. So this way, we will get the service that we need. We'll be guaranteed that we'll be able to take care of our trash, and it gives us some breathing room while we're still dealing with management of the transfer station and making sure we have time to think about how to take care of our trash in the future. We can do that with this truck, and it will see us through. Thank you.
Okay, questions or comments from the floor?
Hey there, Sue Russell, Old Tilton Road. What is, it's a funny term, what's the life expectancy of a vehicle like that?
That's
Yeah.
an excellent question. What would the life expectancy?
I know that's not the term, but
Well, the truck we have now is 27 years old. We would expect this one to last probably at least 15 years. We hope by then that we have an idea of how we're gonna move forward with the transfer station. The areas report gives several options for putting compactors, big compactors in versus a Packer truck. I think the selectmen are gonna look at the areas report this year and come up with hopefully a plan for the future and something that will get us through, not just for the next 5 years, or 10 years, but for longer.
thank you.
I would also think that a truck that's not idling all the time can only last longer. The 99 model lasted till now, idling the entire time the transfer station was open. This truck won't be doing that.
Hi, Cody York, Lamprey Road. I was wondering, is it possible for the old truck to be fit with the new hydraulics, or is that just beyond the scope of what it can do?
Wouldn't be worth it on that truck.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Russell, Old Tilton Road. So what would the cost of a compactor be?
1 moment. You're talking just a plain like an electric compactor that wouldn't need a truck?
It wouldn't need a truck, no, I've seen them where they can be loaded onto.
Yeah. Right. So a standalone compactor is 152,000, according to the areas report. We'd also need to build a canopy and a shelter for the operator, and the standalone compactor, we'd still need a truck to haul it, right? We would still need a different kind of truck to haul the compactor from here to Gilbert. And in effect, with some of the other transfer stations we've talked to, they all actually recommend having 2 compactors, so if one's gone and being dumped, you can still run your transfer station. I'm not sure that's necessary, we would have to investigate that, but still, one of them, just the compactor is 152 at the first price we got.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Evan Christensen, Baptist Road. My question is, you say it has like this lifespan, but you also say we need to review the report to determine the future of the transfer station. Will this truck utilize its full lifespan, or are we still trying to figure out what we're gonna do?
We are still trying to figure out what we would do. This truck gives us the breathing room to do that without suddenly having the truck we have die on us. But we still will be able to resell that truck when we are done with it. It might have a place in the new transfer station. We can't say that right now, but it will certainly be useful while we're figuring that out.
And you also mentioned that other communities are getting rid of their compactor trucks, correct?
Well, that's when they're going to trash pickup service throughout the town and they need the trucks with the
Yes.
lifted arms to lift
So
the trash.
if more towns are going towards that, who will we sell it to? If
Someone
that's-
else like us. Another community like Canterbury.
Okay, thank you.
But that's a good question. Thank you.
Hi, I'm back again. So you mentioned that the current Packer truck is idling a lot. Is this new one expected to have better fuel efficiency than the current one? If so, how much?
I can't speak to that since I don't actually know which truck we're buying, but it also really only has to drive 6 miles over to Wilbur. So I'm not sure that that's our biggest concern. We'd rather have it not idling at all.
Gotcha, thank you.
All right.
Lauren Lockwood, Northwest Road. I'm just wondering, is it such a rare and relatively small purchase and long-lived that we've never given any thought to building up finances for it with its own capital reserve account?
Pardon? Oh, it is, one moment. Which page? One moment, please, while I get that information for you, Lauren, okay? Hold on. All right. Yeah. There we go. So the wheel debater contract is still good for another 5 years. And a capital reserve fund was never created for a Packer. We didn't know how long the was likely to continue. So we did not. Okay, thank you. Thank you, backup team.
Any further questions or comments from the floor? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor, please raise your yes green cards. All opposed, please raise your red cards. Okay, motion carries, article passes, thank you. On to Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 for the purchase of a waste oil burner for the highway garage. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen. Estimated tax impact, cost per $1,000, 5 cents. Cost for $400,000 home, $19.46. May I please get a motion? Can I? Okay, perfect. And a second? Okay, Calvin?
So right now we collect waste oil at the dump, and currently a small business in Loudon picks it up and uses it in their own waste oil burner. With the infrequency and I would say the dependability of this constantly happening, as well as the fact that it costs us $10,000 every time Clean Harbors has to come and take our waste oil, we feel it's best if we invest in a waste oil burner that we can use our used oil to heat the town garage. There's not much really to say to it. It's just a good way to recycle our oil and lower our cost to get rid of it, as well as we're using it to generate heat for our garages and save us some money in our utility costs.
Okay, thank you, Calvin. Any questions or comments from the floor? Can you come up to the microphone, please?
Beth McGuinn, Southwest Road. Question on the environmental impact of this and what it would be replacing to heat the garage, highway garage. What is the current heat source?
So currently, I believe they have it's a propane forced hot air.
In the highway garage and the high bays, this is where this would go. Currently, they're run with propane heaters. They're big tubes on the ceiling, and they burn propane and it radiates the heat down.
Would this use those same high burners or would it be a lower source?
No, it would be a forced air furnace, and it would shoot directly out onto the floor at probably 6 or 7 feet of height.
Great, thank you.
Alice Wachaki, Borough Road. Would residents be able to bring their own waste oil to be burned with this new burner?
Transfer station.
Yes, as long as you take it to the transfer station, we'll transport it to the highway department and have it.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments?
Josh Lewine at Briarbush Road. Are you gonna charge people to get rid of the soil at the waste station there?
No, we've never charged for it in the past.
You haven't?
No, we don't. As long as it's clean, we take it.
These heaters, they're like not the best heaters. They clog up all the time as you're running dirty oil through them. Have you thought of the maintenance on them? versus what you have now, because propane is very clean.
Yeah, we did, and ultimately, this comes down to, we understand there's multiple filters and the way the system works, and we understand there's maintenance to it. The issue is we have to find a way to get rid of our waste oil at the dump, and not having it depend on a person or a company that's affordable, we felt this was the best way to do it. It remedies the situation that we can feed our highway department, as well as get rid of the materials that we have on hand.
And why does it cost $10,000 for Clean Harbor?
Because that's what we've contracted in the past, and that's what they cost us per visit to come take our oil.
Even with the small garage taking the oil?
When the garage doesn't come, we have to get rid of it, that's why. And Clean Harbors charges a flat rate regardless if it's 50 gallons or 5,000 gallons. They started a rate to come out and do it.
And it's $10,000 every time.
Yes. So $10,000 over 2 years is the cost of this. It just seems like a better economical choice in a way that we can reduce our materials here. Good, thanks.
Anything further? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise your yes cards. Thank you. All those opposed, please raise your red cards. Okay, motion carries, article passes. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to establish a salt shed capital reserve fund under the provisions of RSA 35-1 for the purpose of purchasing a salt shed and to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be placed in this fund. Further, to name the Board of Selectmen as agents to expend from said fund. Majority vote required, recommended by the Selectmen. Estimated tax impact, cost per $1,000, 6 cents. Cost per $400,000 home, $24.32. May I please get a motion? Thank you. And a second?
Okay, salt sheds. Current salt shed is in pretty poor condition. It does need to be replaced, though it doesn't need to be replaced immediately. But you would be surprised to know how expensive salt sheds are. So the prices we're getting from towns around us that have similarly sized structures are about $150,000. We weren't willing to just plunk that down without considering a lot of options. One, where it might go, two, what kind of materials. And again, this is still part of the planning that we're trying to do up at the transfer station. It might depend on where it goes. If it's in a different place, we might need a concrete pad for it, but we're not expecting that. But we wanted to start saving for it now. So by the time we come up with a plan, we would have a reasonable amount of money to spend for the salt shed. So we hope to have half of the money saved by 2028, so that the remainder of the amount for the shed could be bonded or raised through taxes. So we're just trying to be a little proactive with our saving on this.
Thank you. All right, questions, comments from the floor? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise your yes cards. Opposed, raise your no cards. Okay, motion carries, article passes. On to Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,000 for the purchase of a multifunction printer. Majority vote required, recommended by the Selectmen. Estimated tax impact, cost per $1,000 is 1 cent. Cost per $400,000 home, $3.89. May I please get a motion? And a second? Right here. All right, Beth.
All right, I've been waiting for this all night because I get to do show and tell. This is what the copier is currently doing. It makes it really hard to read. It makes it really hard to stuff in an envelope. It makes it really hard to read minutes, highlight, to do anything. So here's some fun facts about the copier we currently have. It's used to pay, this is what it copies. All the tax bills twice a year for everyone in town. all the voting checklists that you see when you check in and out, all those pages of names. 4 sets, and this year we have 3 elections. All the assessor postcards, every board meeting in this town, all the agendas, all the minutes, all the budgets, all these wonderful binders, it prints all of those, all the accounts payables and all the payroll. And it was bought in 2016 for $5,000 and since then has printed 252,000 pages, which means it's tired, it's old, it's folding things up, and the office staff and everyone in the town would appreciate your support for a new one. Thank you.
Okay, questions or comments from the floor, please? Can you come up to the microphone, please?
Sue Russell, Old Tilton Road. I know sometimes I'm feeling like, why am I asking this question? I don't know. Why is it not under office equipment? I mean, it's just a question.
Why isn't it just included a line item under office equipment?
Yes,
Because it's a very expensive piece of office equipment.
Okay, so is there like a price or an amount that has to be a warrant article?
No, personally, I would say it's prudent when you're spending this much money on a piece of equipment to have the town approve it. So we wanted you to know what it was for and why we're doing it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Brendan O'Donnell, Northwest Road. So am I correct that if we vote no, you won't be able to send us tax bills?
We will handwrite the tax bills, don't worry. Or we'll just give you one of these. But an excellent question. Good try, Brendan.
I kind of wondered if that would come up when you mentioned that it prints the twice a year tax bills.
I'm Rick Crockford, Ayers Road. Have you investigated a service contract?
Yes.
Yes, the copy machine before the one that we have now, we had a service contract on it. I think we found in the long run it wasn't worth the money that we were paying for it. So we opted to buy a copy machine, and I think we have a service contract with the provider for maintenance on it, but to lease one, to have one on a lease, it just wasn't, didn't make the dollars and cents.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise your yes cards. All opposed, please raise your red cards. All right, motion carries, article passes. On to Article 19, to see if the town will authorize the selectmen to accept up to $6,000 from the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire Canterbury Adder Funds and place that money into the Renewable Energy Capital Reserve Fund. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen, no tax impact. May I get a motion, please? Second?
Second. I hate to say that this is a little bit of a no-brainer, but we would just, this allows us to actually take the money that somebody's offering to give us. That is our money. So the DRA said that in the warrant article back in 2025, that we could only create the Renewable Energy Capital Reserve Fund, but we couldn't deposit the money into it. So the money that we've gotten, which has been about $5,200, has been sitting in the general fund, but now it can actually go into the capital reserve fund that we created for it. The purpose is to support any renewable energy projects we might have upcoming in the town. So this is, if anybody's curious what the adder is, there is a, if you're on community power, you can opt up to the Canterbury basic rate, which has a 2 cents per 2 mil.
2 hundredths of a cent.
2 hundredths of a cent. added onto it, and that is collected by Community Power New Hampshire, and then we get that back. You can opt up. That is not our current rate, but anyway. So this warrant article just allows us to actually put the money that we've already collected into its proper fund so we can use it in the future.
Questions or comments from the floor? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please raise your green yes cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your red no cards. Motion carries. Article passes. Article 20. To see if the town will vote to discontinue the Sand Lake House Capital Reserve Fund created in 2011. Said funds and accumulated interest to date of withdrawal are to be transferred to the municipality's general fund. Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen with no tax impact. May I get a motion, please? And a second?
Ken, how about I'll start off, and you can fill in when I miss it. I apologize in advance. I drew the short straw and got this. It's probably the most boring warrant article we have. So, the DRA, the Department of Revenue Administration, is telling us that we have to do this. That's kind of it in a nutshell. But the backstory is, about 8 years ago, the tax laws changed. The town started to have to take an annual forced distribution from the Sand Lake Trust Fund. Those of you that have attended town meeting for the past several years have seen that as a warrant article. We literally have to take a payout from that, and that's the way the DRA has told us to do it. So the bank required the money to be placed into a special account that could only be used for betterment, improvements, and other purposes on or about the Sand Lake home place, not the general fund. So since 2016, we've been placing money in the Sand Lake House fund. So in 2023, the DRA told us that we needed to start doing a warrant article annually to allow us to put that money in. In 2025, the DRA changed their minds and now require that we put the money into an ETF instead of a fund. So we need to move all the funds into that, into the new ETF. I think that really sums it up. This warrant article is to move the money to the general fund, and then it will be transferred into the new account. So to anticipate why did the DRA change their mind, they literally have 3 people that cover the entire state. So every single municipality and school district has their warrant articles read by a very overworked person. So one of the 3 was replaced by a new person in 2023. So it seems as though this is the decision now. So here we are. Gladly answer any questions, or Ken will answer any questions.
Just for clarifications, an ETF is an expendable trust fund.
Sorry, I forgot that part.
The cap reserve fund and an expendable trust fund are different. Again, this is what the DRA is telling us we have to do. So this is what we're doing.
Questions or comments from the floor?
What happens if we don't know?
Could you step up to the mic and identify yourself?
No, it's a good question, though, Joshua.
Okay. All right, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise your yes cards. All opposed, please raise your no cards. Motion carries, article passes. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to modify the optional tax credit for a service-connected total disability on residential property in accordance with RSA 7235 from its current value of $1,400 to $2,000, Majority vote required, recommended by the selectmen, no tax impact. Could I get a motion, please? And a second? Okay, cheers.
All right, so last year, the state changed veterans' tax credits. The legislator went through, and in the change, essentially what it did was it disallowed total, 100% total disabled service-connected veterans from being able to collect multiple tax credits. So in an effort to keep those residents whole, we're upping the current $1,400 to $2,000. That way it keeps them all whole, and it's essentially the same tax credit as before, as well as updating us to I guess to be competitive with all the other towns. Most towns rated at $2,000. We haven't changed ours in 30 some odd years, so it's just an attempt to get everybody whole and update the tax credit. So.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments from the floor? Okay.
Teresa Wyman, Shaker Road. I'm curious, is this only for disabled veterans? Or is it for all veterans?
No, just 100% total disabled.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the floor?
Northwest Road. I'm entirely in favor of this. I'd just like a clarification if we are raising this, this credit, how is there no tax effect?
So currently there's about 13 people who get this credit within town, and they're getting it at the $1,900 rate. So with them losing the ability to get the multiple tax credits, we're upping it to $2,000 to stay in line with the other towns. Last year's bill allowed you to up it from, I believe, $5,000 to $6,000, and we just upped it to $2,000. It was currently at 14, so the tax impact, I guess, would be $1,300 less. If that's, it's $100 more per person. So we're 13 people, you'd be looking at $1,300 less on your tax rolls.
Okay, that's not clear, but I'm sure you figured it out.
Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise your green yes cards. All opposed, please raise your red no cards. Motion carries, article passes. And that concludes our warrant articles. So thank you, everybody. Now is the opportunity for anybody to come up to discuss any other business for the town. Please, as before, line up at the microphone, state your name and where you live in town.
Hi, I'm Kelly Short, live in, you want to know where I live? Hackleboro Road. This is a celebration and a thank you, and do you mind if I turn my back on you folks for a minute? Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, so 21 years ago, for those of you who might have been here then, Jennifer Hopkins and I stood in front of the town and asked you to bond $800,000 so that we could contribute to the conservation of what was then the Gold Star Farm down on the Intervale. It was a project that Canterbury and the City of Concord and the Forest Society and the Trust for Public Land all did together. And I didn't check the details, but my memory says that we succeeded in protecting almost 1,000 acres of land, and it was 3 to 5 miles of riverfront, and some of the best 625 acres of farmland here in Canterbury. So it was a huge ask that we made of the town 21 years ago, and in 2025, we paid the last bond installment on the 20-year bond. So, yay! Thank you. One of the wonderful things about Canterbury is its rural character and the beauty of the town and how much the townspeople support that. So, thank you very much.
Beth McGuinn, Southwest Road, and may I also turn my backs to you, thank you. 2 years ago, the Community Power Coalition, or Community Power Committee in town, asked you for zero money in a bond, but you voted to have community power because it does a lot of things for us. And one of the things that we said it would do is save you money. Right now, we're not saving you money. And we want to hear from you about that. And we have set up a listening session for April 7th at 7 o'clock. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to consider our best actions. We want to represent you. And I promise we will give you the best answers we have for all of the net metered customers who can't get onto community power. Please join us. We'll have food and drink. No free beer though, unless Steve Almond steps up. Town Hall.
Ruth Smith, Southwest Road, and I'm also gonna address the crowd here, because there's a lot of great things to say to everybody. First of all, how many of you saw yesterday's Concord Monitor? And a bunch of you on Wednesday night were at the town hall for pub night. And I bet a lot of you have been to the library lately for some event or program. So I wanted to just take a minute. Scott, in his report at the beginning, thanked all of the town employees and volunteers. But I wanted to take a minute to say a thank you from all of us to one special town employee, our very own Rachel Baker. And I think you all know what a great librarian she is, but she's also such an incredible community builder, supporter of people of all ages and needs. She also serves on the Canterbury Shaker Village Board as a liaison from the town to the board and representing our needs there. She has served for the last year as president of the Library Association, doing amazing things for librarians all over the state. So I just wanted to say a huge big thank you, not just from me, but from all of us. Thank you, Rachel.
Okay, I came down here from up there because I'm going to talk to you as a resident and a neighbor, not just as select board. And if you all turn to the end of your town report, and you saw that we had another special recognition to the Canterbury Community Market LLC members who have kept for the past 20 years, 25 years now, a store in the center. The fact that we don't have a store now is being missed by many people. They are working diligently to fill that hole again. And I would just mention our thanks to this dedicated group who have cheered each other on and kept their purpose for the benefit of the entire Canterbury community. And thank you to them all. If any of you are here, stand up and let us clap like crazy for you. Thank you. Oh, yes. And while I'm here, Teresa reminds me that there is still food in the back. Please support the farmers market. Opening day is Wednesday, June 3rd, at 4 to 6:30. Please be there.
I just sampled the food, it's really good.
Ruth E. From, excuse me, Wyven Road, and I'm gonna turn my back on you. I hope you're listening. I'm holding too many things. One of them is a sample window insert. There is an actual window insert that's from someone's window back there. You can see it's a lot, it's the same stuff. Thank you, Ruth. Vanna Wright. How many people here have window inserts? And you can talk to them. I think they're all very happy with them. They're saving these people money.
And they are saving energy and we're lowering our carbon emissions in town if you're using these. We have them in our house. And we are having another build this November. And we're really hoping that a lot of people in town will consider getting these. They're low price, they're high quality, you can back and touch it and pick it up. This will, and then we will need volunteers to help build it. Everyone who gets one of these has to come and help build it, and plus other people like ourselves who aren't buying them this year are going to be helping anyway. If you feel like this is a terrific project, please talk to Claudia Ledinger or myself or Nancy Frank, because we're trying to lead up the group that is doing all the effort to get ready to do this build. So, thank you. And we're having an information night on March 24th, and we have little cards to remind you of that. It's not committing anything, you just come and hear a little bit more about it. And you get your windows custom measured, and then it will be built and ready for you at the beginning of the winter.
And the build sessions are very fun.
Yep. Sue Russell, we got them done upstairs because those are really, I think, not that old, but old windows. And I'm telling you, when they measured, it was perfect. When they got all built and we put them in, snug, snug, snug. Or great.
So, thank you.
Anyone else with other town business?
I'd just like to recommend, if possible, that tax impacts are rounded another decimal place out, because they can be off by several dollars for the average home in Canterbury with the current per 1,000 rounding that's done.
Thank you.
Ellen Scarponi, Clough Pond Road. I just want to thank all of you on the select board and our staff, because we hear about problems in so many other towns, but we don't have them here. So thank you very much.
Okay, anything else? I have one further announcement that I failed to make at the beginning, but this would be my reminder, so now it's just my initial and my reminder. Any newly elected town officials, please come up to the stage after the meeting concludes so that we can swear you into your new position. And now, if I could please have a motion to close the meeting. And a second, please. All those in favor, please raise your green yes cards. Perfect. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you very much.